There's an old saying in strategy, never let a good crisis go to waste. And right now, the crypto market feels like it's in a quiet crisis. The confusion you're feeling isn't a bug, it's a feature. Market makers design it that way to shake you out. But that confusion creates opportunity if you have a plan. I believe this chaos sets the stage for a wealth transfer from those without a plan to those with one. The question is, which side of that transfer will you be on? Hi, I'm Anna, a full-time crypto investor building my sovereign stash. This is not financial advice, it's simply me sharing my personal journey and the systems I use that let me sleep soundly no matter the market turbulence. Today I'll walk you through 3 simple steps I take to manage my portfolio in a chaotic market. First, my conviction audit. Second, my written plans. And third, my opportunity filters. If you're committed to designing your own systems-based approach to crypto, hit the like and subscribe button. It tells YouTube you want to see more strategy and less hype. My first step in any chaotic market is to simplify to survive. When things get messy, complexity is your enemy. My goal is to hold only the strongest assets, which means my portfolio is concentrated in its leaders. My process starts with an audit. But before I even look at my own portfolio, my first question is always, well, what caused the pullback? If you don't know, just get on X, because there will be 50 different analyses for you to digest from crypto Twitter. When we see a massive liquidation cascade, like the one we just had, I classify that as a technical market structure event. It's a leverage wipeout that flushes out speculators. This doesn't change the underlying technology or my long-term thesis. In fact, it can give the market a healthy reset. This understanding is key. A technical event doesn't break my conviction. Even a dramatic narrative event. So, for example, if a privacy coin, just as an example, got banned from all major exchanges, that might not break my thesis if my conviction is in its technology, not its short or medium-term liquidity. A truly fundamental event is something different. For example, if a cryptographic flaw were discovered that permanently breaks the privacy of that same coin, that would be a thesis-breaking event. So knowing the difference between technical, narrative, and fundamental events is how I stay calm and start my audit with a clear head. My process then is to concentrate my portfolio in its strongest leaders. I go through every holding I have, and if I'm no longer fully convicted in its long-term thesis, I make the tough decision to cut it, even at a loss. This is never easy, but my thinking is that I'd rather have strong capital working for the future than weak positions holding me in the past. I'd rather redeploy that capital, however small it is, into strength. A basic question I ask myself is this altcoin's best days ahead of it or behind it? If I believe its best days are behind it, I sell. If they're ahead, I then have to ask, am I willing to sit my capital in it, waiting for that day? For me, this isn't about panic selling. If you're in panic mode, step away until you're calm. This is a deliberate process of strengthening my portfolio for the uncertainty ahead. It's all about one thing for me. A leaner, conviction-driven portfolio is a stronger one. Now, this audit is anchored by the core of my portfolio, Bitcoin. That's my largest position. If you've ever felt stressed during crypto market pullbacks, it's probably a sign you've taken on too much risk in assets you're not 100% sure about. If you want to be sure about anything, deep research is the only way. For me, I don't see Bitcoin as my riskiest asset. On the contrary, from my perspective, the bigger risk financially is not holding sound money. Now, if you haven't gone down the sound money rabbit hole, I highly encourage it, because once you do, you'll start to see why I feel that holding my core asset, Bitcoin, is actually a defensive position. It's my digital gold. So, why do I hold any altcoins at all, you might ask? Well, for 2 reasons. First, I don't believe we will only create one viable store of value in the digital world. call me an optimist. Second, I believe you can accumulate more Bitcoin if you are disciplined with altcoin investments and take profits on them to buy more Bitcoin. I have done this, and I plan to continue this strategy to grow my core of Bitcoin. But I want to be clear, this is a very difficult game, now more than ever. There's a reason crypto cycles tend to turn altcoin holders into Bitcoin maxis, and that's if they don't quit altogether. If I wasn't up for this altcoin game, I would certainly just buy Bitcoin and tune out the rest of the noise. Altcoins are like technology startups. Very few will make it to the big time for a long time. And those that do will still take years to make it with any certainty anyways. Bitcoin really is special. Now, figuring all this out for yourself is the hard part. And it's why I want to be clear about something. You should be skeptical of any influencer in these uncertain times who sounds 100% certain about the future. Literally no one has a crystal ball. Everybody's guessing. Even the best analysts are only working with probabilities. They're making educated guesses, sure, about the most likely outcome, but the reality is sometimes the 10% chance happens. My goal here, therefore, isn't to give you answers, but to share my process so you can build your own. Because the only plan that will actually work long-term for you is the one you build and truly own yourself. Now, once my portfolio is lean and focused only on my strongest convictions, the audit is done. But managing these assets through future chaos requires more than just conviction. It requires a plan. I still need rules I can follow in case my emotions run high. I've learned that you can't control the chaos of the market, but you can control yourself. For me, my self-control comes from my written plans. It's very difficult to make rational decisions in a crisis. The plan must be written when you're calm, and it becomes your rulebook in the middle of the chaos. When the market is dumping, I read my crash plan and follow my own instructions, item by item. Same as when the market is pumping. I read my sell plan and follow my instructions, item by item. So my written plan has a few different parts. I'll always have an ongoing crash plan for what to do with each asset in the event of a sudden crash. I'll keep it updated as my holdings change. So a part of my crash plan is that conviction audit we've just gone through. My free 5-day email course shares a quick outline of what a crash plan involves. So you can sign up for that if you want a place to start with writing your own in more detail. The link's in the description. I also have a sell plan for taking profits in a bull market, which I talked about in these 2 earlier videos. And I have a bear market buy list. It's a future list of assets I want to own or buy more of, but only at super cheap prices do I want to buy them. Those are the ones that I mark up with my "don't buy above this" line on their price chart. This stops me FOMOing in at random times in the cycle because it reminds me just how cheap you can get that altcoin. And it makes me be a mega tight ass and very strict about when I buy any significant sizes of altcoins in a dip or a bear market or a bull market. Now for Bitcoin, which I only add to and don't sell, my plan is a detailed dip buying strategy for how I will layer in my buys. I learned the hard way in 2022 that dips can keep on dipping, so I spread my buys out now. For altcoins, a key part of my plan is my cash curve strategy, which I also talked about in 2 earlier videos. On the rallies that we get, my goal is to take some cash back. And I reinforce this by remembering the feeling of regret from not having cash in a dump years ago. A key part of maintaining this plan is regularly checking in with my own psychology. So I'll ask myself regret minimization kind of questions. So I'll ask myself, if we had an epic dump today, how would I feel? Would I be okay? Or am I too overexposed? Similarly, I'll ask, well, if we rip up from here into the banana zone, will I be annoyed that I don't have enough altcoin exposure? I ask myself, do I have enough cash if this is the end of the bull market? In other words, will I regret not taking enough profits by now? So asking these kind of questions regularly about how I will feel if we go up and how I will feel if we go down. Getting the answers to that from my own psychology helps me understand my risk tolerance. And through that, I'll find my sweet spot for the right level of risk exposure that I really want. And that's how I sleep soundly, wherever the market goes. So, with that risk framework established, let's talk about how I actually filter the opportunities that a market reset offers. For me, this starts with the least risky asset and only then extends to higher risk plays on my bear market buy list. Those moments of true fear in a market often create good risk reward opportunities. But catching falling knives is still dangerous, so I like to use a few filters to act wisely. My primary filter this cycle is an institutional one. Before I make a move on an altcoin, I'm asking, is this something institutions are buying or building on? If the answer is no, I know I'm playing a much riskier game because this cycle, institutions and whales are in charge. Retail is weak. While we can't always know for sure what institutions are buying, a good proxy for me is focusing on the most established projects, typically those that have survived multiple cycles and remain in the top 20. Not financial advice. My second filter is my lifestyle filter. I ask myself, can I sleep well at night holding this? This is a non-negotiable. It's what led me to close some trading positions before I moved house recently, because I knew I wouldn't be able to babysit those positions whilst I was moving house. My portfolio must serve my life, not the other way around. Being able to sleep well is how I know I'm here for a long time, not a stressful time. My last filter is about timing. I recognize that Bitcoin and altcoins can bottom at different times. In 2022, Bitcoin bottomed, but some altcoins didn't find their bottom for another 12 months. So when the market crashes, the least risky crypto to buy, in my opinion, is Bitcoin. And so that's what I prioritize. It's important to realize different assets bottom on different timelines, so patience and position sizing matters more than predictions. So with my written plans, I have structure instead of stress. So you can see my process at the highest level is relatively simple. First, I simplify my portfolio down to my strongest convictions, anchored by Bitcoin. Second, I operate with written plans that I wrote when I was calm. And third, I look for opportunities using my filters or rules. You can't control the chaos, but you can control your clarity and your own discipline. By the way, on a personal note, thank you for your patience while I moved house and couldn't make videos. If you're ever missing me here on YouTube, pop over to X and see if I've posted on there. Chances are I have, because it's a lot easier to type than it is to make videos. Also, please be careful of scammers impersonating me. I found today someone on X impersonating me under a locked account, and there's another one on YouTube uploading my videos with a fake account and a fake email. So please check the handle exactly for my accounts to make sure you're interacting with the real me and not some dodgy scammers. I'm on X, YouTube, and Substack, where you can sign up for my first newsletter that I haven't published yet. Sorry, but I will one day. So if you sign up to Substack, you'll be sure to get it when I do publish it. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe in the markets, and there's a couple of videos that I made at the start of my channel after some mega crypto dumps that are probably worth rewatching if you haven't watched them. I've put them on the screen here for you. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.